Find out what's going on. Get involved. Change things from the inside. Make a difference. Take pride. Multicultural at its best. The Louisa Marshall Show. Coming up.
All new, simply the best. Get inspired. Olio, Passion and Pursuit with Marilyn Wilson. Marilyn is a freelance writer, a passionate interviewer, a published author, a poet, and a speaker. Interviewing is her passion. She writes about real people with real lives, finding inspiration in every story she writes to share to the world. Her writing career started at the age 50 when she decided to shift her life and work embracing a new passion. Articles with innovative magazines such as Rain Magazine and Sean Magazine highlighting local fashion industry. Then later, Marilyn launched her first best-selling book, Life Outside the Box, featuring true success stories of ordinary people with extraordinary passion. Another bestseller followed, The Wisdom of Listening, where she shares life-changing experiences and wisdom of different individuals she interviewed over the years. Get ready to be inspired. All these coming up.
I want to start by sharing a really profound aha moment I had on Facebook a few years ago. And yes, you can have profound aha moments on Facebook. I've had a few. And no one was more surprised than me when a year and a half later I found myself editor and co-owner of a fashion magazine. It didn't matter that my clothes came from Zellers. It didn't matter that I knew absolutely nothing about fashion and that my husband cut my hair and that I had no writing credentials, because it was during my first interview that my passion hit me between the eyes.
Hello. We have another great show for you all. I met and interviewed Marilyn Wilson in 2015. That was 8 years ago. Now she's back on our show to talk about her bi-monthly newsletter, the launching of a new book, Pursuit 365 Business Edition, and an Olio of Simply the Best conversation. Hi, Marilyn. How are you?
I'm doing great. I got so excited when you reached out to me. I have been dying to connect with you for a long time now. And it's going to be lunch, but this is second best.
That's right.
That's right.
Lunch with some red wine, right? I remember that. We had that.
I'm a white wine. Julie's a red wine.
Me too. Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
Okay. I'll drink whatever.
I know. So you've been good. You know what? I've been following you on Facebook. We've been friends for a long time. Your posts have been very, very uplifting and inspiring. And yesterday's post was, just caught my eye. And I said, oh, I better get out of my shell right now and do something with this lady. He's so awesome. And so here we are. And thank you so much. So it's been a while. And I'm glad you're back on the show to spread more inspiration. And you remember where we met? We met during the launch of your book, Life Outside the Box, downtown Vancouver. You remember?
There was a nightclub. It was February 2012.
2012. Oh my.
No, 2015. February 2015.
Right? Yes.
And the Norwegian perfumer Gearness, who's in the book, had come to town, and we had a balcony area, and I had never met you before, but you knew Julie, my publisher, and you offered to come in and you taped an interview with myself and with Gear, and I was so astounded by your generosity. And I've been at one of your little shows in a restaurant. I haven't been to the big ones, but I keep circling around your dates, and somehow they just don't work out. So I will be there one of these days.
You missed the show last Friday.
I know.
Missed that. Well, Life Outside the Box and the Essence of Norway, that was the show. That was so fun. That was my interview with you and here. And you have 2 books, which are Amazon bestsellers. The Wisdom of Listening, Pieces of Gold from a Decade of Interviewing and Life, Outside the Box, The Extraordinary Journeys of 10 Unique Individuals. So now you're into your third book. And I remember you messaging me about this third book, and I was so busy. And so a third book in the Pursuit 365 series is launching soon. Yep. It is called The Business Edition, featuring authors from all over the world sharing their stories as entrepreneurs. So tell us how reluctant you are.
Oh, I'm so reluctant. You know, I think a lot of creatives are like this. Writing is a very creative job. I think singing, dancing, writing, songwriter, entrepreneurs, I'm not an entrepreneur, but any of the creative fields, we just want to create. I want to write. I want to share stories. Somebody defined me the other day, because I'm a nonfiction writer and I don't consider myself an expert. What am I? And they called me a fellow traveler. You're walking through life and you're listening to people share their stories and pass them on, and you're learning things and passing them on. And yeah, I feel like a conduit to pass on things that are happening all around me that anybody has access to. So I really love that. So when Shelley talked to me about the business edition, I said, I am not good at business, and I don't consider myself an entrepreneur. And she said, Marilyn, you have to do business. And I said, okay. So my piece for them was simply the reluctant entrepreneur. How I shudder every time somebody defines me as that, or I'm asked to events that are entrepreneur events, because I feel like I'm a writer. I feel like I'm a storyteller and a poet and a speaker and stuff. I don't consider that the same as these people who are working every day for a living, and their finances totally depend upon it. I'm at a place in my life that's not true. I do what I do because it's my passion and because I love what I do. So it was an interesting choice to go. I actually swore I'd never go in any collaborative books. I have 2 of my own, and then full books of my own. I have done 2 collaborative books where I wrote a chapter, and then I've been in all 3 pursuit books where I share a smaller story. And so I have 5 collaborative books altogether, and I'm going in the next pursuit book again. So it's become quite this different side for me. It's a different challenge. What story to share in that sound bite, but it's like writing poetry. You have to come up with one idea and get one idea across. So it's fun.
Yeah, I know you're having fun. You know, your journey as a writer has been very colorful and shall I
yes,
fashionable. So how did that all start?
I had been a stay-at-home mom because my kids were bullied very bad. I don't know if you know that. They weren't safe going to school and home. And somewhere in high school, even though it wasn't done, they were ready for me to step back and take on more themselves. And the only way with ADD to do that, which makes you very intense, is to do something else. And I had done dance costuming, I had done this and stuff, but it was time for something I chose to do. And I saw an ad from a New York fashion magazine. I grew up poor. We still didn't have money. My husband cut my hair. My clothes were from Zellers, which is like a Kmart. But my daughter had modeled a little bit, and this is the line that went through my head. I got A's in high school English. This should be fun. I'm a 50-year-old woman. Hadn't been in high school a very long time. So I sent 3 story ideas off. 2 were accepted. And I managed through my daughter's connections to get the photo shoots done. But it was at my first interview with an Indigenous designer that I just found what I've been looking through my whole life. I've always been interested in people, so I was nosy. I've always been very intense and ADD with a racing mind. Suddenly listening to somebody interview, that was actually an asset. I could think ahead of where to take it or really listen to what they wanted to talk about. And I had goosebumps from head to toe the whole time. And I walked out of there going, I have to do this. And unfortunately, the magazine, I did all the interviews and write-ups, which was not as easy as high school English. And the magazine folded with my edition in the printers. So nothing got printed, nothing got published. I didn't know what to do. I'm almost 51 now, and I have no credentials. I have no wardrobe that I have nothing. And I kept beating the doors down, and nobody would give me a chance. And so I went back to Craigslist and literally typed, I just want to write. I don't care if I'm paid. I know that I shouldn't have said that, but it really at that point I don't care if I get paid. I just want the opportunity to write. And I got a few connections, and I met a photographer, fashion photographer, web developer who wanted to launch a local magazine, not on fashion, but on people working in our local industry so we can uplift them, right in line with my passion. And so after 6 months of me covering for all the writers that weren't turning any work in, I said, I'm going to take over the editing side of it. I will find writers, I will find the stuff, you can do all the photo shoots, the webs. And so I not only was a writer, I was an editor and a co-owner in a fashion magazine with no experience, no wardrobe. My husband was still cutting my hair. And I got more looks going in the media tent with all the fashion people. I just wanted to interview, and it was the only door I could open, and I had to build that one myself. And so sometimes as we're older, it's not that we can't do it. It just has to be approached a little more creatively. We have to be willing to do other things. I always like to say, when I decided to write, nobody said, oh my God, Marilyn, you finally arrived. We've been waiting for you. Come on in. We can't wait for you to start. Everybody looked at me side-eye and talked about me like, what is she doing here? And so it took just hard work. I worked harder than everybody else. I built my own opportunity. I tried to do things different. I showed great respect for the people I interviewed by letting them see the article and just make sure it came across right, that I'd gotten it right. So they felt safe with me, and that opened doors to write for another magazine in New York. I did two articles a month for them. I was published and shown in London, and I interviewed people as far away as South Africa. It just was on this trajectory with me hanging on in the deep end, dog paddling as fast as I can, because I really didn't know what I was doing. I just passionately wanted to interview people and was willing to do what it takes to keep getting my drug. It was my drug.
That's amazing. That's really
so yeah, I always tell people, doors close, but you can build your own, but it may not be exactly what you want. You just have to be really creative on finding your way into places when you're older, when you don't have experience. And hopefully you're in a place that you don't need instant dollars, because that takes time.
More Marilyn inspiration coming up. Don't go away.
The first interview I ever gave, I sat there for 2 hours. I had goosebumps up my arms. I walked outside. I was 49 years old when I did it. I walked outside. The sky was sparkling. The sun was shining. And I said, this is it.
I tell people, if I had worked a job that told me to work this hard, I wouldn't have done it.
That's
like
true.
you, and I know how hard you work. I can read between the lines with every post you make. I know you put 100% of your passion and work hard to make it happen. And that's what I tell people. If you don't want to work, if you don't want to work hard, get a job, get a pension, get a stuff. If you want to follow your passion, it's going to take a lot more out of you for a long time. And then the sweet spots comes. Not that you don't have to keep working, but people know I'm a writer now. People know, and some opportunities come to me because I've been in the industry 17 years. I got flown to New York. It was just lovely because I've been supporting. Yeah, I've been supporting this for 17 years. I've been made twice a year, been major supporting these people, and they said, okay, come with us. Just a couple days there, but it was lovely to go to New York. And again, I still supported them. I never sit on my laurels. I always try to give back. I do.
So now you're doing a new project, the one that I read yesterday, your post. Oh yeah, talking about the life outside the box. The first interview I did with you. Look what I have.
Yeah. Oh, good for you. I didn't even bring mine. You know what? I'm thinking of doing a second one. Maybe you should let me interview you for it.
Oh, this will be a pleasure.
Really?
It will be
So
an
there
honor.
you heard it here first. We are going to find a time. It's just an interview.
It will be an honor.
I need a live interview. So I'm throwing out there to the world, Louise.
That's true.
Lisa.
No, that's true.
Life is interesting, and I'm always ready. I'm always looking for the next cliff to jump off. I'm a good
Nice.
leaper.
Let's do it together.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
I would
I-
jump with you any day, and we would be laughing all the way down.
So your bi-monthly newsletter. So
Oh,
you have
yeah.
to subscribe to it, right? I think I did. Did I subscribe to it already? I think I did.
I don't know.
Oh, you haven't.
You know what? For
because
2
it's
or 3
coming.
years.
It's coming. It's just coming out.
For 2 or 3 years, the person I've been working with on my writing has said, you really need to start thinking about marketing. And I said, I'd rather write. Maybe you should try. I'd rather write. And I came up with the idea for a podcast, and I was doing a weekly photo series with my books, and all these things keep falling off. And one of the things on that list was a newsletter. And I just, I don't know about you, but I get a lot of stuff that come in that you don't want. But there was one newsletter I finally agreed to move forward, because there's one newsletter I liked. It was from Louise Penny, who's also an author, and she shares about her life and her dog and what she's doing, and some publishing news and this and that. And I thought, I can do that. And so it launches April 1st, and it's just bi-monthly, so you only get 6 of them a year, at least at this point. And it's just going to have links to a couple things I wrote in my blog that I like. It's going to be like, this one has highlights from my trip to New York, and it talks a little bit about what my publishing goals are, right? What books I hope to work on, and an EPUB that's almost done that I'm just going to, it's a very small one with stuff from my blog that I'm going to have free download days. And it's meant to be like we're having a cup of coffee talking about how it's going. How's it going, Marilyn? Oh, fine. I went to New York, and here's what I'm working on. So I'm really excited now that I've done it and figured out what's going in it. And anybody can join. There's a link right on my website at marilynrwilson.com. You can also follow me on Instagram. I'll be posting stuff there. But yeah, it's time. You have to talk to your writers. Writers are a very unique group of people, and they're not just the people who buy your books, but they actually kind of become your family. The readers that follow certain authors follow them. They're family. They uplift them. They support them. And I'm sure that's true of artists and singers and everything. I know you have incredible fans, of which I am one. But creatives build a family with their supporters. And so part of that is communication. And the bigger your group gets, the more you have to reach out in creative ways. So right now, it's a newsletter. I'm still hoping to activate my YouTube station again and start doing some videos and stuff. But baby steps. I'd rather write. I'd rather write.
So what do you think of the Oscars this year? Did you watch? Or I'm sure you watch.
You know, my husband and I have a way of watching shows. For me, it's the award shows. I tend to watch them just to keep up on conversation. Who won? Who didn't win? Like general conversation. And I'm curious what people wear, because I've covered fashion for so many years.
Yeah.
My husband watches football and curling and does the same thing. We jump. So they do all this stuff and yada, 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 yada. And I'll stop and watch Ryan Gosling do his number. And I think you should see it. I think as a performer, you would appreciate what they did with his number. Oh, you've seen it. It was
best part.
good.
I haven't seen the red carpet. I just didn't have the time for that.
Well, and this time I found the red carpet, they did a lot more close-up interviews than showing people. And so I skipped that and I went to the thing. And the Oscars tend to have more classic pieces, less range, more whites and pastels and black, not as much skin showing. There's still the odd person with the mesh dress that you see their nipples and panties, but that's not as common. That's more the music shows. And I'm not, being so pale and white haired, I'm not really into pastels. I mean, they're pretty sometimes. So I tend to look, when I went through some pictures for you, and so I tended to look at the ones I was comfortable with. I am not comfortable.
Top three, Marilyn.
I think Quanah chasing horses outfit I liked. It's a print. It's red with white and black trim, and she has a collar with feathers that come down. She is an Indigenous actress, and so it has that hint. It's very modern, but it has that hint. I actually looked her up to see it was Indigenous because what she was wearing. But I love the fact it had color, it had print, it wasn't skin tight, the boobs weren't coming out, but the feather accent is quite striking. Who else did I like? For older people, I enjoyed Annette Bening and Rita Moreno. Both of them did something
I like those two. I like those.
Yeah, they both did something different. I mean, Rita Moreno's all in black, but it's very flamboyant and ruffles and stuff. And Annette Bening went for something more classic. But the idea, all three of those have in common, they're not skin-tight dresses. And yet these people look sexy and terrific. I loved Cynthia Erivo because what she did was very different. It's a different color. Nobody else was wearing it. It had this weird ruffle down the back that was really quite well done. I just found it a little too wide here.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Well, International Women's Day, it just passed. So why is this so significant to all of us women? Isn't it very heartwarming to celebrate each other for all the trials, challenges, the chaos we've been in, the successes?
We have been taught and are still taught to be catty with each other, to be competitive. Look at teenage girls. I mean, I think that is still, we have been, like I was told at jobs they'd never hire a man for it. I have been through that. And when I first started high school, I couldn't wear pants. And, I remember all those times. And I think when we come together for conventions, for coffee, for women's groups, for International Women's Day, I think it reminds us as grown women how far we've come, that we don't have to compete. We can come together without competition. There's a term, I've got goosebumps. I just got to warn you, I get goosebumps if I get a funny look on my face when I'm going to say something I'm passionate about. There is a term from Kwanzaa called ujama. And it's, I'm not using it in the traditional sense. It is about cooperative economics. It's a day in Kwanzaa. And it encourages the village to come together as a whole and work as a unit to raise everybody up equally. And when I heard that, that's how I began to approach business and how I began to approach who I considered a friend and let in close. They are people I'm not in competition with. They are people who are not trying to compete with me. They are people who want to give me an opportunity and encouragement, and who I want to, in turn, give an opportunity and encouragement to. And I think International Women's Day and other events like that encourage us to embrace that, to come together and celebrate as a woman and share what we're doing. And do you think I want to share? I'm 69 years old now. No. At the same time, I'm just extremely proud that despite lack of confidence, despite being brought up in a religious environment where it was very limited in what I could dream for myself, I at 50 got a new career, have written 2 books, have been in 5 collaborative books, have taken the stage and talked, and I'm still around and working, and I'm 69, and I mean, people help me, but I used passion and drive even when I didn't know what I was doing and being criticized, because I chose to keep moving forward. So I'm really proud of this part of my life from 50 onward. And I want other people, women, to know that you can change that upbringing. You can change that early story. My story up to 50 wasn't that great. Other than my husband and my kids, it wasn't great. You can change that story, and you have control, and we can come together and support each other. And I am shocked how much is given to me in this moment in life. I've cried about 3 times this week out of the blue. You called, and somebody else called, and something else happened, and I was just feeling so seen and heard and respected So thank you for that. But I mean,
Marilyn.
I mean, it's just, I want to tell women, we do not have to compete. We do not have to compete. We can come together and be each other's strength.
Oh my goodness. Well, what do you think of Barbie, the movie? Just so awesome.
You know what? I have friends that love it. And in my experience, the friends that loved it saw it on the big screen. I think it's quite a spectacle.
Yes.
I think it's extremely well done. I think it's a pleasurable movie to watch, especially if you liked Barbie. I grew up feeling different, out of step with other girls. My experiences with Barbie were only because I felt I had to. So the movie doesn't have that little girl call to me. And then I watched it on a big screen TV at home. And I really think that changed my experience as well. But I understand what people like about it. Left to center, I just watched Poor Things, and it's really out there. It's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but the same thing. The expectations on women and by society, and how unfair they are and how ridiculous they are, set in a truly bizarre, weird thing. I loved it.
Marilyn, thank you so much. And I can't wait for your bi-monthly newsletter.
You'll need a cup of coffee when you read it. It's me chatting with you over a cuppa. For all you readers, for all you people out there, if you sign up, you need a cuppa when you read it.
Thank you, Marilyn. Thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you. I'm so honored to be here. You're like my you're the person I held up when I was starting out as how I wanted to be in the business. So this is a full circle moment for me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome to Relive the Music, a brand new one-of-a-kind show that takes the audience through music history, trivia, and memories of the 50s and 60s.
Hope you enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Please don't drink and drive. Don't text and drive. Always be kind. Let's stop bullies. Stay safe, everyone. See you next week. Bye-bye.